Hello guys, welcome back to another problem solution video. Today we'll be another GAUSS question here. As always, let's first start off by reading the question. So an 8 by 8 by n rectangular prism is made up from 1 by 1 by 1 cubes, and suppose that A is the surface area of the prism and B is the combined surface area of all of these smaller cubes that make up the prism. What is the sum of the values of n for which b over a is an integer? Now let's first look at a and b and solve them in terms of n. So we see that a here is going to have to be equal to 2 times 8 times 8 plus 4 times 8 times n. And the reason why this is because I'll just write like a quick graph. This is not going to be a scale of the rectangular prism that we have. So as you can see here, we have a square in the front with a and a here and n being here. So these are the sign lengths. You can see that there are two faces that have a value of 8 times 8, and there are four faces that have a value of 8 times 9 here. So that's how we receive this, and we simplify this into 128 plus 32n. Now let's look at b and the other ones. So b is going to be equal to 6 times 8 times 8 times n, which is going to be equal to 384n. And this is also pretty straightforward. As for each of these unit cubes here, they have 6 faces, and each of the faces have a surface area of 1. So in other words, the surface area of one of these cubes is 6, and there's a total of 8 times 8 times n cubes from a rectangular prism here, and so we just can solve this into 384n. This means that b over a is going to be equal to 384n over 128 plus 32n. And obviously these numbers are pretty big and they're pretty hard to work with, so I'm just going to move the common factor of 32 from all of them to receive 12n on top and 4 plus n on the bottom. Now let's go look at 12n over 4 plus n again, and we need to put some restrictions on this, otherwise there's just going to be an infinite amount of numbers here. Now we can see that 12n and 4 plus n, as I've already written out, has to be smaller than 12, and there's a pretty big reason for this. Now let's say that let's just plug in that 12n. So let's just say that 12n over 4 plus n is going to be equal to 12 somehow, and there's a pretty big reason on why this doesn't work here. So now let's just cross multiply here, and you can see that this turns into 12n is going to be equal to 12n plus 48. And you can obviously see a really big problem here. One side has 12n, the other side has 12n, which works, but the other side has a plus 48, so obviously it's going to be bigger than it. So this just doesn't work out. This equal sign is just false. This doesn't work out. And this is the same for all the other numbers which are bigger than 12. So this means that, as I said before, 12n over 4 plus n, or b over a, has to be smaller than 12. Now going back to this here, we can see that 12n over 4 plus n has to be smaller than 12. So now we can plug in all the numbers that are smaller than 12. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. And you see that the possible values for 12n over 4 plus n are just going to be equal to 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10. And how do I solve this? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You just kind of do a bash here, and so for example, I'll just do one of them for you. Let's say we have 12n here over 4 plus n, and I've decided to bash and calculate this to be equal to 4. It's pretty simple. We just move the 4 over here to 12n is going to be equal to 16 plus 4n, and then we solve for n is going to be equal to 2. And you just do this for all of the other numbers here. This means that n is going to have to be equal to 2, 4, 8, 12, 20, and 44 respectively, that link to all of these other 6 numbers. So this means that the total value for the sum of values for which b over a is integer is going to be 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 12 plus 20 plus 44, which is going to be equal to 90. So this means that the answer to this problem should be B, which is 90. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any other way to solve this problem, please let me know down below in the comments, and thank you guys for listening. Bye.